Airbnb. Right on.
All right, there you go. We're officially recording. You guys can all accept that or leave the Zoom, I guess. I don't know. Does Zoom give you an option? Like if you hit
What
decline,
happens
do
if you
you
don't
stay?
hit got
I
it?
don't know. Anyway, okay, so today is June 20th, 2022. I invited my friend Tom Swan here that I met recently after joining the Avengers Mastermind, for any of you that didn't know that. I invited Tom to come talk specifically about rental arbitrage. So I know most of you know I have some short-term rentals. I've been doing short-term rentals since 2014, but they are only on properties that I've personally purchased and owned and self-managed. I had hired a property manager for a couple of years too, and then gave her the boot because they just charged way too much money for what they were doing. And I took those back over. So I'm just really interested in, I know there's a bunch of people in the group that wanted to get started with short-term rentals, but necessarily couldn't own them and finance them outright like I did. So, and I've spoken to Sarah and a bunch of you before that are either co-hosting or doing arbitrage. So I just thought it would be a good topic for the group in general. So Tom, I know I kind of gave you short notice because we talked about this on Friday and it's Monday and you're here. So, yeah, I think open Q&A, or, you know, if you just have some general tips and tricks that you want to share with everyone, maybe some systems that you're using, if we're going to get that specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, why don't you go ahead too and just introduce yourself, give everybody a little bit about your background, and then we'll go
Sure.
from there.
So I'm also a fellow recovering Northeasterner. I'm originally from Connecticut, moved out to Phoenix 4 years ago. And so back in, I'll give you a quick backstory, but back in Connecticut, I had a retail business in like alternative energy heating. We did like wood stoves and fireplaces, you know, all that jazz, alternative energy stuff. So I had that, went down in flames, figuratively, but when that was going down, I kind of shifted. I took the opportunity to shift and double down and go into real estate, flipped a house. When did my first flip, I made about 125 grand on that one. And I was like, I lost about $250,000 on the business. So I flipped the house and I made about a 125 on that. And I was like, all right, sweet, this is easy. And then
That doesn't happen on every deal, by the way,
Tom. Oh, no, I know.
Okay.
That's
just making sure we're setting expectations.
Then I progressively went downhill from there. That's why I was like, oh, this is easy. And then I did another flip. I actually bought property in Arizona. It was like 2 fourplexes. And when I moved out here, I ended up deciding to flip those. I made about 60 on those. And I was like, well, that sucks. Because, you know, I thought I was going to make 6 figures on every deal. So, but then I progressively got worse at flipping. So I got into a third flip in 2019, and then I found arbitrage. And so I started going the arbitrage route because I gotten into this flip, and I still had no clue what I was doing with real estate. Like I was just kind of throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. So I found arbitrage, worked with somebody who taught me how to do it. Basically, you know, for those who don't know, arbitrage is, instead of buying a house, you rent somebody else's house from a landlord, act as a tenant, but you approach it as a business. So you come to a landlord and say, you know, I have a business. We focus on, we specialize in short-term rental, less than 30 days. So we would rent under a long-term lease, and then we agree that you allow me to sublease under short-term rental less than 30 days. And that's the overview gist of it. And then, so the beauty of that model is that you can get in very quickly. You essentially take over the house. You can start immediately if it's available, and you can furnish the house out and get it up and running in a matter of weeks, as opposed to going through the process of closing and you know, everything involved with that. So, you know, where the typical house can take 60 to 90 days to get closed and into, you know, obviously there's other methods if you're doing creative and all of that, but there's really, you know, in most cases, the house is open, it's empty, it's available. So you can get right in. In a lot of cases, like depending on time of the month, you can negotiate free rent and get other things. Sorry, there's a fly like that keeps buzzing around my face right here. So, the arbitrage is essentially that. But the beauty of it is when I started doing that, I opened up 4 houses right away, like within a month and a half. I was able to open up 4 houses and start cash flowing immediately. So that's, you know, that's the other benefit of short-term rental is that it's immediate cash flow. Literally, as soon as you get the house up and running, it's bringing in cash flow. So all that to say, I started in, oh, I got him. I started in September of 2019. I started with arbitrage. And then what happened in January, right when we were supposed to make all our money back in Phoenix, because our high time is the end of January to April, where we make all of our money, is COVID happened. So shut me down again. Lost my most profitable months of the year. And so when COVID happened, I don't know if anyone went through COVID other than maybe you, Marie, but Airbnb and VRBO really screwed the hosts over. And in that situation, so I literally lost $40,000 in one day from them shutting down when we went into the lockdown, but it was the day they canceled spring training. I lost all my money in one day. And so I had to write it out, and basically everyone jumped ship off the platform. And I kind of sat back and was like, well, you know, if everyone's going to jump ship, then I'm just going to ride this out. As much as it sucks, like Airbnb is not going anywhere. And so, you know, when it comes back, whenever that may be, and we were blessed to be the first state to reopen after the lockdown. So we're really only down for about 5 weeks. But when we reopen, I was like, you know, 60% of the competition is going to be gone. So I'll just sit here and try to make some money back over the summer. And we ended up actually rebounding really strong and making a lot of money.
Now, is it just me, or was that, like, I guess you weren't doing it for so long before that, but that was my busiest summer since I started in 2014. I think because of COVID and the fact that people couldn't leave their house to go anywhere, but then we're one of the first states that opened up, like that June, July of 2020. Yes, the lockdown itself was scary, and there were a couple of months where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen to my Airbnbs. But once we recovered from that, literally that June and July and August was the busiest summer I've ever had on Airbnb.
Oh yeah, it was insane. It was crazy. I actually got kicked out of one of my houses because it was so insane. The neighbors got all pissed off about it, which I don't blame them, because people were just going crazy. You know, people were just coming in going ape shit in the houses, and I was like
throwing parties. They were just
constantly, because everyone was locked down for a month or 2 months or whatever. You know, we were getting everyone in from California, and they were just being freaking assholes. You know, and they
hey, there might be a couple California folk on this call.
I'm sorry if you're from California, move to Arizona, but don't bring your California bullshit here. But so where was I? Sorry, got distracted. But yeah, I mean, everyone was coming in, they were going freaking crazy. Like they book and be like, they book it for like a grandma, and they'd be like, oh, I'm bringing my 3 grandkids over to enjoy the Arizona summer. And I'm like, oh, perfect. And then they show up and it'd be like 20 cars, and it's just like a giant party. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous. Like you couldn't even avoid it, you know? It was just like, but so anyways, I got booted out of one of my houses, but it's all good.
Now, but now let's set expectations as far as Airbnb. That's also not the norm, right? Like people always ask me, oh, you have some Airbnbs, like, how do you deal with the parties and the drama, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's not really the norm.
Right. Okay. So, and on that topic, since we're talking about arbitrage, so let me just be clear. Like, arbitrage is a method to get into the business, and the reason I like arbitrage is in my opinion, it's more of a starter. Um, uh,
A strategy.
yes, strategy. It's more of a starter strategy, but some people make huge businesses out of it. I know a guy who's got freaking 150 arbitraged units, and he makes multiple six figures every month in profit. But but to me, that just creates a huge tax liability because all of that income drops into ordinary income. So arbitrage is a means to get into the business and to get into a property, but in my opinion, I'm using it as a stepping stone to then take that cash and start dropping it into equity. I mean, you can continue to arbitrage because why not if you're cash flowing off of it, right? It's just like it's straight cash flow. So, but you just need to make sure that you're covering your tax liability. But yes, as far as the parties, so because we're talking about arbitrage, when you're going to talk to a landlord, like if you're looking to use this strategy, when you're going to talk to a landlord, there's a specific way to go about that conversation, because to your point about parties, that's what most people think of as soon as they hear Airbnb, because all they hear about is the bad side, and they hear about, all they see on the news and all this, everywhere they see Airbnb, it's always problems with it, right? Why it's disrupting the neighborhoods. There's parties, noise, whatever, right? It's all the problems that they hear about, when in reality, that's probably, I'd say, like 5 to 10% of guess. So
how do you overcome that objection when you're talking to a landlord or an owner and trying to convince them to allow you to do rental arbitrage in their property?
Yeah, so I always approach it like from a business standpoint. So like I said before, like I'll talk to somebody and be like, hey, I'm looking for a longer term lease, particularly in Phoenix. I know that most anywhere East Valley is going to work. Like, I know the markets that are going to definitely work. So I'll come to them and say, hey, I run a business that I rent the property for a long term, and then I sublease under short-term rental less than 30 days. So, your rent's always paid on time. I always hit their pain points. So I'll be like, your rent's always paid on time. The house is going to be taken care of. And if there's any like repairs or anything like that, little stuff, not any major stuff, but basically any repairs up to $500 in a month, I'll cover without even bothering you about it. Right. So, and the house is always in show ready condition. So this is like a couple pain points right out of the gate, because anyone that's been a landlord knows that, you're going to deal with, you don't have to worry about tenants not paying you. You don't have to worry about showing up in 6 months and it being a hoarder house and, smelling like cat piss. And then like any little thing that goes wrong with the house, like what I run into a lot is garbage disposals, right? The garbage disposal goes bad because people are stupid. So,
Hey, in my defense, they weren't very popular when I was growing up. Okay, like
I didn't have one. I didn't even know what it was till I moved out here.
Neither did I. So
I think like, what is this
don't know how to use them.
No, I know, but I put signs on it that say run the water. But I mean, the best one I had was somebody, a guest called me and he was like, hey, the garbage disposal isn't working and the sink's backing up. And I was like, okay, what'd you put down? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, well, you had to put something down. It wasn't this problem before. He's like, all I put down it was bacon grease. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, so yeah.
The PVC is now melted and it's not an issue with the garbage disposal.
Right. It's like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. No, but like, so, but anyways, it like any landlord knows that any little thing that goes wrong with the house, they're getting a phone call, right? Like the toilet's running, the sink's leaking, like whatever, right? If that's the case, like I just go take care of it. So, So to answer the question, this is my long-winded response of, to answer the question of how do you get over that objection? So generally, like I'll say, I'll give that little spiel and then I say, like, is this something you'd be interested in? At that point, they're saying one of three things. It's either yes, no, or is this Airbnb, right? So yes or no, we know how to work with that. If they say, is this Airbnb, like, you need to massage it, because you can't just go like, yeah, I'm going to throw your house on Airbnb. What's the problem? Right? Like, because they're just going to be like, no, get out of here. So, I always say, like, look, we do corporate housing. We house professionals, travel nurses, construction crews, insurance companies. In this space, like, you can't operate without being posted on sites like Airbnb and VRBO, because you're going to be missing out on traffic, and we can use those to fill in the gaps. So something like that, it massages it into the conversation, and you can turn the conversation to make it all about Airbnb, but it plants the seed that it's not all Airbnb, which eases the resistance, right? So it eases the resistance into the conversation. And then, the key point that you want to get across is that their concerns are your concerns. Like, I don't want parties in my house. I don't want the house getting destroyed, right? I just had a house get completely trashed, and, I don't want that either, right? So their concerns are my concerns. So as you're going through that process, like, once you have the house, it doesn't really matter, and they will learn that they don't hear from you, and they really don't care as much as they think they do. So
Out of curiosity, are you giving them like a little bit better rent than they would get, like market rent, or
no,
you're giving them just straight up market rent or whatever?
if anything, I'm taking away.
Okay.
Because here's the reason why. I'm essentially acting like a property manager, because that's a common misconception. That's like something that a lot of people ask, is like, oh, should we give them more rent? No, first of all, they don't need to know how much money I'm making. They're making their money, and I'll make my money, right? But like, I'm acting as a property management company without the fees, right? So like, if they were, say the house is $2,500 a month, and they were to pay a property manager, like, how much is a property management fee?
10%, we can say.
10%. So that would be $250. So they'd really be making $2,250, right? So why would I go offer $2,600 or $2,700 or $2,800 when, really they'd be making $2,250? And I'm going to do the same thing that the property management company is going to do, except I'm going to, take care of the house. Anything that goes wrong with it, I'm taking care of. So, in that sense, like, no, I don't even put it on the table. And if somebody does ask for more money, I'll say, no, like, and for that exact reason, right? Like, I'm essentially act like a property management company, because that's what we are, is a property management company, but we're not charging you for it. We're just going to operate our business out of the house. So.
Gotcha. So, Tom, at this point, how many properties do you manage or have?
12. I own one of them, and then I have 11 arbitrage.
Okay. And you're primarily in Scottsdale, Phoenix, what cities?
It's all over East Valley. So pretty much east of the 51, top 51 and 101 to Chandler and Gilbert. So I'm in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Mesa, Tempe, Chandler, Gilbert.
Do you have size requirements or need a pool or that kind of thing?
No, I don't really. My kind of bread and butter is like a 3-2 to a 4-3. And I don't like to go with out here, and like, every market's different. So, out here, like, I like to stick in that box, because if you go too big, you're really attracting parties, or you have to go with more of like a luxury, like the luxury, like resort style Airbnb, right? Or rental, whatever. and that's my opinion of it, just based off of what I've seen in the market, right? Like nothing that I'm saying, just FYI, nothing that I'm saying here is gospel, but you know, this is just my experience with it. I've done very well in the market with these properties, and only a handful of properties, right? It's not, I don't have like hundreds of properties. But yeah, so I mean, I stick between like 1,500 to 2,500 square feet. I try not to go bigger than that, because it's just, in my opinion, it's more expensive because you have to furnish out all that space. As far as a pool, like I mean, you prefer a pool, but it's more maintenance. And like, I don't really see a huge difference between my houses with pools versus the ones that don't. So, you know, the ones without pools the revenue's slightly less, like maybe $5,000 over the course of the year. But also you factor in, like, you have pool maintenance, chemicals, you know, issues that go along with it, all that stuff. I mean, that adds up over the course of the year. So, you know, the difference is very minimal, and there's a lot less maintenance. I mean, I think 8 of my houses have pools. No, 9. Yeah, 9 have pools. So
In regards to so if you're 3-2s or anything, do you have themes or anything in each of your properties that's creating more of a go-to, like, for the property itself, since you're, you know, it's not party houses or anything, but I've noticed a lot of the smaller units that make the most money are ones with big themes. Like, I have a friend who has what he calls the aviation house at North Phoenix, and he literally has an airplane coming out of the wall of the property, and the whole thing is decorated airplanes, and he makes way more money than a typical property just because of the theme.
yeah.
Do you have anything?
First of all, the themes are very cool, and they're definitely attractive, and they're definitely niche. I don't think it's totally necessary, but do you know his numbers? Do you know how much he's making?
Depends on the month, but 20 to 30,000 a month, and it's a 3-2.
20
No.
to 30?
Yeah, no pool.
Gross.
I don't know exactly, but yeah, I
I
know
mean,
it's
I'd
a lot
assume
of
that's
money.
gross, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's, you know, if
Like
he's
last
doing,
month, I
where is
think
it?
he made like 35,000.
Dang, that's good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and obviously, like, for his theme, he lived in the house for a while, so half of the theme was literally like his thing. He put the airplane in there. When I say there's an airplane coming out of the house, it's called crash landing or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's everything. He literally has a kegerator. He built a kegerator out of the tail end of a plane, and
Wow.
it's really, really, really cool.
That's super cool.
And then the inside is super basic. It's just all basic aviation and
yeah,
outdoorsy decor.
It's in Scottsdale or Phoenix?
The link, I posted the link a couple weeks ago. You could probably find it on my Facebook. It's technically Phoenix.
It does. So where is he doing? Does he have like a private booking site that he does too?
He is actually working with a property manager at the moment. He's not super happy with that property manager, so he's looking at other options, but
Gotcha.
the property manager is doing most of the bookings. But yeah, he's up, and he actually,
Well, I mean, is it 20 to 30,000? Say that again.
the next 2 months are his slowest months. Like this month
Right.
really slow, and obviously next month, but
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Is it 20 to 30,000 a month on average, or is that what he's doing like February, March? Because February, March are jacked up, right?
I don't know 100% honestly.
Yeah.
I know that
That's what I'd be
over the
curious
year,
on that.
he's
So-
making more in a year than most.
Well,
Or-
yeah, and I'm sure his numbers are higher for sure. You know, but I'm just curious because we're so seasonal here, you know, so it's like I can say, yeah, I mean, I had 11 properties for first quarter, and you know, on 11 properties in March, I was at 120 grand. So it might
have been his January, February numbers.
Yeah.
I know that's what he was talking
Yeah,
about.
so I mean, but it's just, that's why I always take my numbers and average out over the year, because like, right, I mean, for June, I'm at like freaking 40 grand with, I have 10, that was 10 properties. We have two going live, actually two going live like this week. So it's 12, when I say 12, like 2 are going live now, but
I know
I've had 10 active for the last 2 months, but what?
I know for sure he's triple digits annually.
Yeah. Okay. So So I'd say, I'd guess he's probably like somewhere between 110 to 140 for the year, which is definitely higher, because I average like 75 to 80 depending on the house. But to go to that point, like, yeah, you can do that. There's also the upfront cost of the build out and all of that, right? So
that's what I said. He elevated it based on living there, and then
right.
didn't have to go super far above in order to get it for
Right.
vacation rental.
Right. And if you're going for speed, then I mean, all of my houses are just like cookie cutter, right? Like I get in, I can set up a house real fast, like ideally really fast. Is that the house, Marie?
Yeah, I just posted the link. I can share my.
So he's
screen
got a, so
if
that
anybody
looks
wants
like
to
a
see.
private booking site also then, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's freaking cool.
I'll share my screen real quick, but as I'm doing that, also, I just wanted to share, Melissa's question was, what type of insurance do you get and how much do you insure it for?
And
Right.
who's insuring it? Are you insuring it or the homeowner? That's on my question list too.
So the homeowner should have their insurance on the house. Yeah, so they have a private booking site.
Look at that. That is pretty fancy.
Willow,
with that,
where
with
is
that
this?
airplane coming through.
I can tell you that Crossroads are.
Well, because one of my houses that just went live is on Willow.
Well, it's not on Willow. Oh wait, wrong property.
Oh, yeah, that's a different property.
Oh, it is on Willow. I'm sorry. It's over 36th Street in Sweetwater.
Oh, I don't know where that is.
Pretty cool looking. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. I just wanted to share that, but let's go on to.
So insurance, if you're, okay, so the owner should have their own insurance on the house for one. Then you're going to be covered. This is another part of the pitch to landlords, right? Is what I tell them is I have double layered insurance up to $1 million. So anything that happens on the property is going to be covered. And the reason I say that is because one, you have insurance through Airbnb or VRBO. But the second thing is there's a company called Proper Insurance. And I get insurance through Proper on all of my properties. And the reason for that is Proper is the only company that I know of that offers insurance in the short-term rental space, but they cover lost income, which Airbnb will not cover lost income. And I can tell you very, very fresh firsthand, I just had a house destroyed. They threw our ceramic mugs through the TV and through the oven door. And then smashed the rest of everything in the house, all the decorations, broke the furniture. There was hot sauce all over the carpet upstairs.
What did you guys do to them?
What's that?
What did you guys do to them to piss them off so bad?
We didn't do anything. I'm pretty sure they were every bed. I hope nobody's eating. If you are, you may want to cover your ears. But every bed was covered in vomit. 4 beds, every single one covered.
Oof.
Freaking
I'm
disgusting.
posting the link. Double check that link, Tom. That's
Yeah.
Proper Insurance. Okay.
Actually, I might have a sushi link.
Yeah. Share your affiliate link.
I gotta find it. But yeah, so anyways, I assume all I can assume is they were doing some sort of hardcore drugs, and they Yeah, it was just, the house was destroyed. So that was like a month ago. It was right before Boston. It was
Okay.
right before Boston. So a little over a month ago. And they, here we go. So, oh no, I lost the chat. There you go. If you wouldn't mind using that link, if you're going to go sign up on Proper Insurance, I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, they freaking destroyed the house. So my cleaner did a video walkthrough of the house, like as she walked in. We took pictures of everything and submitted it. So we submitted it to Airbnb and VRBO. So, or I'm sorry, Airbnb and Proper. So Airbnb is not host friendly. I'll just tell you that right now. They're not host friendly at all. So I submitted it to them. They were like, well, you need to submit more documentation. And I'm like, what more documentation do you need? They wanted receipts at like when the oven was bought and how much it was bought for. But I just went and bought a replacement oven because I needed to get the house back up and running as fast as possible. But the thing is, we also had a $1,200 booking, like immediately following that same day check-in, that we had to cancel. Actually, we moved it to another place, but we told them we canceled it. And so we moved it to another house, but we had to take the house offline for about a week. And so we still had that $1,200 loss. We submitted every piece of documentation we could. We made receipts for the freaking oven, like, because we went and bought a new one. We submitted that, just kind of fudged the date on it. But like, you know, submitted every piece of documentation. Then they email us and they say, okay, we're going to work on this. It's a VA in the Philippines or wherever she is. Nothing against them, but you know, it's not the same, right? So she emails us back and just says, okay, we're going to review this. Please submit any further documentation you may have. And like, that's what response we got every single time. Then like a week goes by and they say, have you submitted all your documentation? We're like, what the fuck? So long story short, after 29 days on day 30, which they give you a 30-day window to file these claims, which this was the case for 4 weeks straight. Like she'd email us and we'd email her back in like 5 minutes, and whatever she wanted, we'd email her back. And then we wouldn't get a response for like a week. And then they'd be like, okay, we're working on it. On day 29, we get an email saying, actually it was day 30. On day 30, we get an email saying, we're so pleased to finally close this case. We're gonna offer you $278, which was exactly 50% of the cost of the TV. And I was like, the claim was for $3,700. How'd you come up with $278? Did you factor everything else in that we went over? So all that to say, like, they're not host friendly. So we're still fighting with them. And then she says, it's day 30. We're going to close the case. This has been resolved. And I was like, absolutely not. So we still were fighting with them. Meanwhile, I submitted to Proper Insurance. We had a check within 5 days and they covered loss of income and all of that. So that's my if y'all didn't figure it out yet, I tend to be long-winded on stories, but
For Proper Insurance, did you file the claim for the 7 to 10 day loss, or did you file the claim for the month loss?
no, it was 7. It was the booking that we had to move, and then all the damage to the house. But so we inflated it a little bit because Proper has $1,000 deductible, so we made it a $4,200 claim with them, and then we just justified it in paperwork. But they're like, they just take it. They're like, all right, you know, they review everything. They go, this is legitimate, and they cut you a check. It's the second time I've had to make a claim with them. The first time was my house in Gilbert. The air conditioner was not level, and so it was the water, the condensation was not draining out the drain line. It was actually running back into the flexible ductwork in the ceiling, and it pooled up over time. And what happened was eventually it pooled up to the point that the ductwork just burst. and dumped a ton of water into the house, so much that it took the ceiling down upstairs. It damaged the ceiling downstairs, the floors, the beds, everything. They had to do like a full restoration on the house from it. And we were offline for about a month, and they covered that. And it was in August. So August is typically a slow month. And we got a full, I think we got like a $6,000 check after the deductible on that. So it's well worth it. Like proper is expensive. They're like, you know, I pay like $150 to $250 a month, depending on what amenities I have on the house and how big the house is. But it's well worth it when you have these situations come up and you lose your income. And also the same thing when your house gets destroyed, because like in this case, I'm still fighting Airbnb. And all the while, just a side note on that, on how not host friendly they are, they couldn't get back to me, and nobody called me ever about this claim for $3,700. But in the meantime, at the same time, I had somebody cancel that was a week out on their booking. And because of the cancellation policies, they had like $127 balance that was not being refunded. They called me 6 times and emailed me 7 times to get that thing refunded within a 5-day span. But they couldn't call me about my $3,700 claim, my house that got absolutely destroyed. But they were hounding me nonstop, relentlessly about refunding this guest $127. And it was infuriating.
Yeah, Airbnb definitely is not host friendly. I've at least had better success with VRBO.
Yes. But now
okay.
VRBO changed their policy also, that if the guest doesn't buy the
insurance
extended coverage for $59, then you're kind of shit out of luck.
Right. But most guests are at least buying it, so it makes it easier.
Yes, a lot of guests are buying it now.
Okay, so a couple of questions that came up in chat, I just wanted to go through. So Sophia asked if you're setting up the properties, I believe. Do you set up yourself? Can you sub without telling the landlord? Please don't sub without telling the landlord, Sophia. They definitely need to know that you're subletting that house. It's got to be in the contract. And can this be done with a plex, like a multiplex? What do you ask?
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, definitely always disclose. Like, do not, like, always be transparent, because if you're not, like, you're just asking for problems. You know, that's where I talk about massaging the conversation, because they have to know. And also you have to have it in writing, right? Like you have to have a sublease agreement that says you allow me to do this. Once that's signed, like, but you have to tell them that like it's going on Airbnb, like otherwise they're going to find out and they're going to kick you out. It's just going to get ugly. Like it's not a good situation. So I've seen a lot of people go down in flames because of that. So, you know, just always be transparent. If they're not going for it, like, look, there's plenty of landlords that are willing to do this and will actually love this, because the thing is what it'll come down to is your pitch, essentially, because you're their ideal tenant. And like, 1, it's a fact. And 2, like, you have to know that and believe that going in. The problem is when a lot of people get started with this, you know, arbitrage, and they're not familiar with it because they haven't done it before, they feel like they're trying to pull one over on the landlord. And, you know, they don't feel like comfortable or confident in doing that. But like, trust me, you're their ideal tenant. I have one of my landlords, I was talking to her recently, and she was like, I wish I had more houses to rent to you, because this is the best thing I ever did. She's like, I never hear from you. So half the time I forget I even have the house until money just shows up in my account. And like, I just wish I had more houses, because I would give every one of them to you. Like, that's how this works. My landlords never hear from me.
Do you provide any type of like a voucher or discount to landlords to rent their properties? Like if it's like an out of state owner or something, do you say, hey, you know, like, let me know when you want to come and we'll, you know, you get a 50% discount or 3-night stay free or something like that? Try to build that relationship so you can get more referrals out of them.
I haven't. I don't see it a problem with doing that. You could do that. I haven't done that. I just kind of run my business. When most of the time, see, so here's one trick that you can do. This is something that I do with my business, is I only rent 90 days. I only open my window 90 days out. So the thing is I've had a landlord contact me twice about staying in my house or staying in their house, I should say. But usually it's like like a family member or something like that is coming to town. And every time the house is booked up when they're coming. So I only open my window 90 days out because that gives me a lot more control over pricing and like, you know, a lot more control over the calendar. And it keeps, especially here in Arizona being so seasonal, like I don't even like the 6-month window, but one trick you can do if you're going to open up to 6 months to ensure better quality bookings is after 90 days, you can set your minimum stay to 7-day minimums or 5-day minimums. And that way you're making sure that anyone booking that far out, it's going to be a longer stay. And it's just like an insulation to.
You can separate that now. So you can say that after 90 days, it has a different minimum than within the 90 days.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'll have to look. Honestly, it's been a minute since I looked at that, but I know it's either, I don't know if you can do it on Airbnb, but if you use a dynamic pricing tool, you can definitely do it. I think like on Price Labs, you can definitely do that. I believe there's an option now to do it in Airbnb as well.
All right, let me ask you a couple more questions that are in the chat, Tom. So some of the questions Vali wants to know, like, where do you buy your furniture, your decorations, linens, kitchen? So like, where are you buying all your supplies? Do you have some sort of like welcome gift? And how extensive are your house rules, and how much do you pay your cleaners, and what do they do?
Okay.
I like that question with the cleaners, by the way, because I don't know if you have this issue, but my cleaners that clean the inside of my house don't want to go outside.
Yeah.
So anything related to the exterior of the house, like just cleaning off that yard furniture and like getting the bird shit off your lawn chairs. Like my cleaners that do my inside, they are not going outside. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that. But yeah, so where are you buying your supplies? Let's start.
So furniture, I go to, all right, so, okay. I go to, all right, I do it a couple ways. One is Amazon. So I get everything like beds, bed frames, nightstands, some decorations, any little shit that I can buy, I get off Amazon. Big stuff, I usually go to like a local furniture store. Like out here, we have a store called Living Spaces, or there's Bob's Discount Furniture, which is national. They're from Danbury, Connecticut, which is like where I grew up. That's their flagship store. We have
Bob's out here, by the way. Now they did not have Bob's out here when I first moved out here.
Yeah, they just came out like last year.
Yeah.
I was so
Furniture
excited.
Warehouse is a good one too.
What is it?
American Furniture Warehouse.
They're pricey though.
I get really good, what's it called? I like my sectionals from there. That's better.
So, but the reason I go there is like the furniture is not great, but also I don't like going super high end because my houses aren't high end. And you know, if you're going to have a high-end house, then you could go higher end furniture, but my houses aren't really high-end. They're just kind of average run-of-the-mill houses. And so, you know, people don't take care of the furniture. So I know it's going to break, but there's 2 reasons I go to those furniture stores. One is I can finance. So I can get 0%. I can furnish out the whole house, like living room, kitchen, dining room, like any of the big stuff, couches, tables, chairs, whatever. I can finance that out for like 0% for sometimes upwards of like 36 months. So you can reduce that monthly cost and just average it into your cost as opposed to having to come out of pocket up front. The second reason is they have like the warranty on it, the goof proof or whatever it's called at the store, right? So usually it's like an additional 15%. I've learned my lesson, always get it, because they will keep refunding or replacing the furniture if it breaks. It's an Airbnb. People are going to rock, if it's especially like the wooden furniture, People are going to rock back on the chairs and break the legs. Like, you know, whatever. People start wrestling. I've had some fun stuff happen in my houses, but that being said, that's why I go to those stores, because it brings my upfront cost down. So, and then like that gives me that warranty on that stuff that I can replace it over time. Kitchen item, I get most of my stuff off Amazon just because I can ship it straight to the house. I don't have to go running around. I can just burn through a list, you know, spend a few hours, go through a list, put a giant shopping list together, order it, ship it to the house, and just go put it in. Do I do a welcome gift? I don't. I know some people do. I love the concept. It's one more thing to keep track of. It's something that you have to rely on the cleaners to do. If you don't have a great cleaner, or, you know, there's a lot of variables there. So personally, I don't, because it's just one thing less that I don't have to worry about. How extensive my house rules? I'm pretty strict. So I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, but I don't allow smoking. I don't allow pets, and pets is a debatable topic, right? But I've had the reason I don't allow pets anymore is because people say, oh, I just have a service dog, and then like 3 German Shepherds show up, and I'm like, you know, what the hell? And then they're climbing all over the furniture. They scratch the shit out of it. Like, you know, they tear shit up. I had one person, we saw them bring multiple dogs in on the camera, and I was like, hey, you said one dog and it was a little dog, and those are not little dogs. And she's like, so she sends me a picture, and she's like, oh no, it's okay. I put a blanket down on the couch for them to lay on. They're not allowed to have them to begin with, but the blanket that they laid down was my bright white comforter from one of the beds. And then the dog shit all over it. So I'm just like, no more. If you do bring pets, it's a $500 fee. If you smoke in the house, well, actually it's $200 pet fee. If you smoke in the house, it's a $500 fee. Throw money at it. Like, people respond to money. So, and then how much do I pay for cleaners, and what all do they do? My cleaners take care of pretty much everything. So they do linens, they clean the house, they restock supplies. I have so many properties in the same area. I have a warehouse now, so I keep all my supply at the warehouse, and then they go to the warehouse and re-up. They do my laundry off-site for me. I pay them extra for that. So I pay my cleaners, and I don't know if this is reasonable or not, but it works for me. But I pay them $160 per clean. But so here's something I'll tell you. This is one of the tricks to making money with Airbnb is don't use the cleaning fee as a pass-through fee, right? So I charge anywhere from $275 to $325 for cleanings, depending on seasonality, depending on what time of the season it is. And even right now, I might drop it down to $250 because people like cleaning fee is a, you know, people get upset about it or whatever, but it's a business, right? So like, don't make all your profit only on the rent, like add that up, right? I do, let's just call it 1,000 turns in a year. So 1,000 turns times $100 is $100,000, right? If I'm making an extra $100 on every clean, but that covers my soaps, my shampoo, conditioner, laundry detergent, dishwasher detergent, utilities, pool maintenance, landscaping, like all my expenses that go in get covered by that additional fee. So the cleaning fee is so much more than just the cleaning. It's all the other fees that go along with the house. This is a business. We're here to make money. So, you know, that rent money that you're making needs to go towards rent and then profit. You want to make money on the business. So I use the cleaning fee to make additional money, because if I was just passing through 160 from the guest to the cleaner, then like all those expenses come out of the profit, right? So like that's how I work that. Whereas adding an extra $50 to $100 on top of your cleaning fee, now you have to also be reasonable with the market. So out here you can get away with that, but like in Buffalo, New York, I don't know if you can, right? Or wherever, Kenosha, Wisconsin, I don't know, but it also, like, I'm sure cleaners aren't charging as much in those markets because the cost of living isn't as high. So it's all relative, but you need to make profit on your cleans.
Nice. One thing Sarah asked, what is your pricing strategy to have a high occupancy rate? And I'll just say from my own experience, Sarah, that's even like a loaded question, because I know that I would rather have a higher paying quality tenant than necessarily high occupancy and lower rates. So just, I would just say, be careful of what you're thinking. Like, do you really, I'd want to make more profit with a higher booking fee and have better quality guests than just have really high occupancy rates. So I just want to answer it that way first, but then Tom, do you have any, like, how would you say answer that? I know we talked previously about pricing tools.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you're going to be serious about this business, you absolutely have to have a dynamic pricing tool, because the dynamic pricing tools, so there's Price Labs, there's Beyond Pricing, and there's Wheelhouse. I'm not super familiar. Oh, I just saw Chris's message. I don't know if he's still here, but we'll see you later. So a dynamic pricing tool, like I'm not familiar with Wheelhouse at all. I haven't used it. I haven't really looked at it. But Price Labs and Beyond Pricing are really good. Beyond Pricing is probably the best, but they're also the most expensive. They charge 1% of bookings, whereas Price Labs is just a flat rate. I think it's $35 per month per property. So what the dynamic pricing tools do is they adjust your rate based off of, you set a base price that you want to be at, and then they adjust it based on all the different factors of the market, competition, day of the week, any seasonal events, and also like seasonality in general, but any events. So like, for instance, the reason we make so much money in March is because we have spring training, and we also have the golf tournaments in February. But events like that, like we have, the TPC is out here and everyone goes bonkers for it. So we make a ton of money, and people pay stupid amounts of money to stay in these houses, and they know it, right?
Super Bowl's coming back.
Exactly. We got Super Bowl next year. So, that's where, so as far as pricing strategy, this is why I only open my calendar 90 days out, because then I have control over it, especially in a super seasonal market like this. Like right now, I'm only booking into September. So because the prices are going to start turning up in October, November, December. So I want to start controlling that price as it goes up. Right now, my rates have to be lower because it's summer and it's 115 degrees. And, it's just the nature of the beast that we live in. These are our slow months. So we price down. But what happens is then we come out of summer and I start to increase those prices, and I have a lot of control over it. So that it's the flexibility. The other thing is you need to stay active on the platform. So the way to do that, so I'll give you a ninja trick that I use and have utilized, and I don't know if you've utilized it. Did we talk about this, Marie? I think we talked about this. So what I do is I fluctuate my price. I'll give you a super ninja trick. I fluctuate my price every single day up and down by like $100 in the pricing tools. So what I do is on Monday, Wednesday, Friday are my high days. So today is a high day. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I adjust my prices low. So say my target base price is $200 per night. So right now, what I would do is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I set it to $300. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I drop it back down to 200. And what that does is, one, it keeps me active in the platforms, but two, if you notice when you're searching in Airbnb for a place to stay, to travel, if you use the platform to travel, you'll notice they give, and they've changed the platform a little bit, so it's not as prominent, but one thing they do is they give you that strikeout. And that's one thing when you're setting up the listings that they promote, like, oh, we'll give you that strikeout. We'll give you that strikeout. Like you go through all these things. They want you to give all these discounts, and they're like, they keep writing it in there. Like, we'll give you, then you get this strikeout. If you do this discount, you get that strikeout, right? I get that strikeout every other day because I use this strategy. So I get that strikeout, and it's like a 33 to 40% discount. But what's happening is I'm booking at my ideal rate. And on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my prices are inflated, and who cares, right? Sometimes the best thing that happens is when people actually book on those days, and I just make a ton of extra money. But then what happens is if I don't get any bookings that day, then I drop my price, and the next day I get loaded up with inquiries. And I do this every day, day in and day out. My work day takes about 5 minutes, and like, it works like clockwork. Like, the big thing is just staying consistent with it.
Now, is that something you can automatically set up in Price Labs, or
No.
Beyond Pricing? That's something you have to manually.
You have to go manually do it. The other thing too is if you're using what I'm going to call a CRM, or like a property management software system, there's 4 big ones. There's IGMS, Hospitable, Guesty, and HostAway. Totally drew a blank there. But I use IGMS.
I know. I thought my internet connection went out for a while. I'm not gonna lie, Tom. Like, you stalled there. I was
totally
like, wait a minute,
blank.
did I just lose connection?
So I use IGMS, but the problem I found with Price Labs, like, I'm stuck on Beyond Pricing right now, because I found with Price Labs, Price Labs has to sync to IGMS, and then IGMS has to sync to the platforms, whereas Beyond Pricing just syncs straight to the platforms. So Price Labs was syncing to IGMS, but IGMS was not syncing to Airbnb and VRBO, so my price was not adjusting.
Right.
So I had to go back to Beyond Pricing until we get that situation figured out. But so I use IGMS to manage my whole business. My VAs are in my software, they manage everything. And then my wife also is kind of like she's taken over my management position so that I can focus on other things. Yeah. So
Brooke has a bunch of questions. So Brooke, I'm gonna let you unmute before I go back to because there's tons of questions coming in the chat. But Brooke, what do you got? Now you gotta unmute.
Regarding like leases for like an HOA that don't require or don't allow short-term, by you signing a year's lease, does that negate their requirement, or you just can't do those?
No, don't do those. That's a good point that I didn't talk about. HOAs, just
run away.
Don't do it.
No HOA.
Well, let me what market are you in, Brooke?
Arizona.
Oh, okay. So my house in Gilbert actually is in an HOA, but it's an old one from like the 90s, and they haven't changed the bylaws or anything like that. I think that the HOA fee is like $25 a month. That one's fine because it's not like a super prominent, HOA. They basically just maintain the front of the house and keep their name on the neighborhood. Actually, they don't even maintain the front of the house. They just give you citations if you park on the street overnight. But HOAs are just be super cautious. I really recommend staying away from them. I went into I can tell you from experience, it cost me $20,000. I went into a HOA, and I tried contacting the HOA directly to be like, can you do this? Because the landlord was being super fishy with me, and that should have been the red flag right there. But I was eager to this was one of the first houses I set up. I was like super eager to get more houses set up. So I was like willing to ignore the red flags that popped up. So, going in there, long story short, they wouldn't talk to me. They would only let me they would only talk to the landlord, and I had to talk to the landlord. The landlord was like, "Oh no, everything's fine. You know, it's all good." I talked to them about, because he loved the model, and he's like, "No, no, it'll be great." So I even put money into the house. I painted it because it was painted like dog shit, and so I fixed the house up, made it look nice, furnished it, paid him 2 months worth of rent. And come to find out, first person showed up and they were like, "Yeah, we don't allow Airbnb here. It was like 30-day minimums." And I was like, "Dude." And then the guy smoked me on the money. And it turned out the house was in foreclosure, which if I had known creative financing strategies, probably could have done something there, but I didn't at the time. And I ended up suing him, but ultimately just, he had everything, he was so far down, like I wasn't getting any of the money anyway. So don't go in HOAs.
Okay. Do you target homes that are not like property managed, or how do you find the ideal home?
So you can go with houses that are property that are run by property management companies, and actually I prefer those, but they're very few and far between that you can get into a house with an actual property management company, because most property management companies are just like, they don't want to talk to you because they think you're trying to compete with them, when really you want to collaborate with them, because they're ideal, because they're dealing with the landlord on all the bullshit. And the fact is, like, the 2 houses that I do have property management on, I don't pay any of those repair fees. If the garbage disposal, I mean, usually garbage disposal, I just repair it anyway myself. But like, I had one that the dishwasher went down, and I'm like, "Hey, dishwasher's down. Can you guys fix it?" They're like, "Yeah, we'll have somebody there on Tuesday." Right? Like they do the same thing, but they take care of it. So yeah, I like property management companies, but they're hard to find ones to work with.
Okay.
So as far as that goes, and then as far as like ideal property, it's, you want a good location. You want ideally you want a house that's like freshly renovated. The newer the better. You don't want stuff falling apart. So one of the ways that I scaled my business was I actually bought somebody else out of their business. They were arbitraging, but they had 8 houses, and I just took over the leases, and we came to an agreement on pricing, but I literally quadrupled my business overnight. And the thing that I found down the road, like, should have taken more time to go through the properties, but some of these properties are like kind of run down. They're not in the best condition. But like I get some bad complaints, but like it's also in how you manage it, right? So one of the keys to this business is communication, and I overly communicate. That's also like IGMS. I have all my messaging is automated. So that's another tip that I can give you guys, like, overly communicate. I can walk through my entire messaging automation, because if you book with me, I'm going to message you probably like 15 times between start to finish, like without anyone touching anything. So that's, you can't leave my house at this point and tell me that we didn't tell you how to do something, because I can
All right, well,
that
now
I
I'm
did.
slacking because I think I have like 4 messages on my IGMS, so I might have to look at some of your extra messages that I
Do you
should.
want to know what you want me to walk through real quick, or do you want to go more questions?
No, I'm curious. I'd love to see what you share.
Okay, so I saw a question about, does your insurance premiums increase for each claim you file? And how, if you can, do you hold those B&B destroyers liable? You can't hold the destroyers liable, which is what sucks. Airbnb just gives them a slap on the wrist. They might shut off their account, but most of the time they don't. So nothing happens there. I haven't noticed any increase in claims in my premiums with the insurance.
I wouldn't think you would with someone like Proper Insurance, because they know that they're insuring Airbnb. Right. It's not like a regular homeowner's insurance where they're just thinking like you're being, not taking care of your house or something.
Yeah.
Peggy
Do I
wants
give
to
them
know
a
if you
credit
give
if they
them-
leave it? What's that?
Yeah, I was just gonna read Peggy's
Do I give them a
question.
credit if they leave it spotless? No way. I don't give
But
money
thank
back.
you. Well, we
Yeah.
appreciate it. Our
Yeah.
cleaners appreciate it.
Yeah. The cleaners appreciate it. I don't give people money back for anything. Unless,
Do you ever give a credit or something like when they're complaining about things, like when you just get that person who's just nagging you, where it's just like, oh my God, if I just give you back like $50, will you shut up? Like, I feel like I get those kinds of people that they complain about everything.
yeah. So here's my position on that. Once in a while, I used to, I don't anymore. And there's a reason, but the only time I'll give money back if it is blatant neglect on our part. So like the cleaners went and didn't change this doesn't really happen, but it has happened with other cleaners in the past. So you also have to be careful about what cleaners you have. Now I have a really good cleaner on staff. And I mean, she misses stuff here and there. She's human. Everyone's, nobody's perfect. But she does a really great job of getting most stuff, and occasionally like you get some people go through and they're like freaking ridiculous. Like they'll go under, like you ever have somebody go like under the sink and like look at, they're like, oh, there's like muck in the back corner of the cabinet, like soap residue. It's like, what are you here for? Like, get the fuck out of the sink, dude. So, just people do stupid shit like that. Like I have people. So to answer your question, people will do all sorts of stupid stuff to try to get money back. And actually Airbnb just made it a lot easier for them to get money back if they complain also. And I got smoked on 2 of those right out of the gate, right as soon as they changed that policy. But so I had this couple check in. They had 4 kids in the house. They checked in at 4:30. There was one issue with the house that we knew of because it had just happened. Somebody dropped a suitcase and popped a hole in a door. We knew it was damaged. They checked in at 4:30, told us about the hole in the door. No problem. We said we know about it. We didn't have time to get somebody out there to fix it. Whatever. 9:30 a.m., which is what? 8, 9, 17 hours later. So they message us at 9:30 in the morning with a picture of the bed with the sheets pulled back and there's crumbs in the bed. And they say, this is disgusting. I said, well, why didn't you message me about it last night? You said 4 kids, right? And it's 9:30 in the morning. What are the odds? One of the kids was eating in bed. So, but they got Airbnb overrode me and refunded them. So stuff like that happens. So here's my reasoning for not refunding people who complain, because when people are complaining, you're already getting a bad review. And if you're going to give me a bad review, there's not a chance you're getting any money out of me. I'm keeping your money. So if I know the bad review is coming, then I don't care. I'm not giving you $50.
Right.
You can leave if you want, but and somebody asked about cameras. Yes, I have cameras. I put cameras on all of my entrances, or at the very least a doorbell camera, so I can keep tabs on who's coming into the house. But a lot of times people will, if it's a party or something like that, they'll get smart and figure out that there's a doorbell cam, there's not any other cameras. So then they'll sneak people through the garage or around the back of the house, and you can't figure it out. Like there's professional partiers that this is all they do. And they will go and scout the house and make sure, see like where there's cameras, and then they'll work around them. So I try to,
and I've had not so professional partiers that literally have just thrown parties and you can see people coming in the front.
Oh, yeah.
And I've literally seen people like pee on my front lawn from my front doorbell camera.
oh yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. There's
Yeah,
a ring
yeah.
doorbell right there. What do you do?
Right. Right. I had 2 guys get in a fight. One guy broke the other guy's nose right in front of the camera, and then the cops showed up, and the next day there was blood all over the front window. And like that day that they checked out, which this happened the night before they checked out, so it was like 4:00 in the morning, then they were checking out at 10, and I had a month-and-a-half long booking checking in that afternoon, and it was like $8,000 or $9,000, and the cops were there, and they're like, we have to do a full investigation. I was like, so, and that was my house in Gilbert. I was living in Chandler, like 10 minutes away. So I was like, I called the cops. I was like, listen, I'll give you the footage. I'll give you anything you want. Get the fuck out of the house and let my cleaners come in and, and get it. I was like, I don't care. We'll clean it up. Like, do your investigation as fast as possible, but get out of there because you're going to cost me about $9,000 if you don't. So, yeah. Okay. There was another question.
How are you finding your arbitrage opportunities?
You just got to look for them. I mean, so the easiest place to go is Zillow. Look for so what I recommend is rather than going to landlords renting, go to realtors who are renting rentals, right? So if you go to a realtor, like follow, if you know Jamil Damji, he talks about with astro flipping, his concept is rather than going to each homeowner who's renting their property, in this case, renting your property, go to a realtor who specializes in home rentals. And then you go to them, tell them what you're looking for. They already have the connections. They already have the relationships built. They'll go out and work for you. And like, I'll just offer them like $500. I'll be like, hey, I know you're not going to make a whole lot on the commission on this. I'll throw you an extra $500 if we land a lease on under the arbitrage model. And by doing that, like when I figured that out, I had like three houses brought to me the next day. It was, I was just like simple.
Yeah. Peggy also wants to know if you make good friends with your neighbors, I guess the neighbors to the houses.
I don't. I'm not.
You're not sending the neighbors letters to let them know that there's going to be an Airbnb next door?
I have neighbors try to make friends with me, and I try not to. Some people recommend that. Some people do. Like, neighbors can be your best friends, but they can also be the biggest pain in the ass. So, I had like the house I got kicked out of, for instance. The neighbors there were obnoxious. Oh yeah, we were going to go over the automated messaging. But the neighbors at that house were freaking obnoxious. They didn't like what I was doing. And this was also, like, in all fairness, this was post-COVID. This was right when we opened up. It was a nicer neighborhood, and the neighbors were very close to the house, and people were going fucking crazy. So in all fairness to them, like, I get it. I would not have wanted to live next to this house either, because as much as I tried to control it, I had no control over what people were doing. People were just going ape shit, and there was nothing I could do about it. Like, it was ridiculous, and it was so frustrating. And eventually they just started hounding the landlord, and then the landlord gave them my number, and then they started hounding me. Like, literally every single check-in, they'd be like, I'd get a call from one neighbor, and they'd be like, oh my God, they're standing in the driveway. I'm like, it's 5:30 in the afternoon. Are they doing anything wrong? Well, no, they're just standing out there talking. Like, okay, go away. Like, I don't care. And then 5 minutes later, I get a call from the other neighbor. Your guests are standing out in the driveway talking, and they look a little sketchy. Like, all right, that's judgment. I don't care. Like, leave me alone. Like, leave me the fuck alone. But they just nonstop, relentlessly call me. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of neighbors personally.
Do you hire maintenance workers, or do you have a maintenance company?
I just have a handyman, unless it's something big, like an emergency, like the guy that poured bacon grease down the drain. That was right before Thanksgiving. The next neighbor, like, I told him, just like, run super hot water and vinegar down the drain. He got it to unclog, and I said, run the the garbage disposal. But he got it to unclog, but then like not even a week later, the people were in there for Thanksgiving, and they called me at 9:00 on Thanksgiving Eve, and were like, the sink is completely clogged. We can't get anything down. And I was just like, shit. So I had to call emergency service. So it cost me as much as their entire stay. And, whatever, George Brazil. But they're there.
Yeah.
But no, I just have a handyman on staff that we call for little shit. So, you got to work through, and when you find somebody good, keep them and make it worth their while. Like, 12 houses now. So, I make it worth their while. I'm like, listen, I'll just keep feeding you business, but you have to do good work and you have to be there when I ask you to. And like my HVAC guy, he knows, like, when I call, he's like, he'll drop whatever he's doing to come do whatever I need.
That's awesome. What's your typical profit margin for all of the headache?
My overall profit margin for my business at the end of the year will be like between 35 to 40%. So it's, it's a solid profit. It's worth it. And the thing is once you have everything automated, it's,
Especially the communication side. Yeah.
Yeah, the communication, and once you get everything going, like, it's still a headache, but ultimately, like, my wife, well, see, for me, it's not as much of a headache right now because my wife's taken on a lot of the issues that come through on a daily basis, which is nice, but it's not like, I don't want her in that position either for a long time. It's just temporary till we grow to a little bit further down the road. And from there, I'll just hire somebody on to manage all of that for me.
What do you look for as a profit margin per unit? I know you said what your overall is, but like if you're looking for property and running your analysis, if it's like a $2,000 a month, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, like what is your what's your profit margin you're looking for?
Well, so my rule of thumb, like, go-to is $2,000 profit per month per house. Right. So, but like in Arizona here, we're very seasonal. So you have to take it average out over the year. Right. Because like if I go look at numbers for March, I'm like, sweet, this house is like 120% profit margin, like it's not realistic. Right. But then we come into June and you're like 0 to 10%. So, it's just overall for the year. Yeah. I mean, it ends up working out to, it ends up overall, like, all expenses factored in, maintenance and utilities and all the stuff that a lot of people overlook, it ends up being about 35 to 40%.
And then, like Melissa asked specifically, like, how do you set your rates? And I think that's going to depend on your location too.
Right.
So answering the first part, I think, Melissa, like you said, $2,000 a month rent for a 3-2. Like, I think, Tom just explained, he's looking for at least $2,000 a month profit, but you have to see in your area or where you're going to do rental arbitrage, is it possible to make the $2,000 a month profit? If, you're trying to rent something and it's only like $100 a night is typical in your area, then you might not get that $2,000 a month profit.
Right.
So, I mean, for me, I know if I was looking at a new market, and even when I started here, I just played, like, I went on Airbnb and VRBO and I just look at like what's available in the area. What is everybody else's average nightly rate? And kind of see the houses that are comparable. Like, I just got the property in Show Low. So I wasn't familiar with Show Low. I had properties in Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Tempe. And now I got a price. What's my nightly rate going to be in Show Low, Arizona? So I just go on the website as if I'm a renter and I'm like, what's available in Show Low, Arizona? Like, what are they, asking for nightly, and how often is their calendar booked? I'm literally like sketchily, like, I'm like creepily stalking people on Airbnb and VRBO, trying to see like, how often is their calendar booked? Does it change on this weekend versus this weekend?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I know people use AirDNA and some other pricing tools, but
Sure.
I think that that's just the best kind of way to do it, is really just use the platform.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, using the platform is definitely a great way. One thing you have to do is search different times, like different weeks, because if you're searching for something from June 26th to June 30th, like, houses might not be available, right? So then if you go out to July, 18th to 24th, some houses are going to pop up that aren't available now because they're booked. So if you're using the platform for that purpose, that's where the data tools come in handy with. So I use actually AirDNA, Data Rabu, and Mashvisor. They're 3 different tools. And I use all of those to pool data from, and then I kind of like analyze through that. But also it's absolutely necessary to go and use the platform. Like you have to go and use the platform, look at it, and look at your competition. The other thing you can do on the platform to look at your competition is look at their photos and their, like Marie said, their nightly rates, because I can go look at any area and I can tell you in about 5 minutes if I can outperform that market, which usually the answer is yes. Because like, I'll give you another tip is get a professional photographer. And when you stage the house, like going back to furniture and all that, when you stage the house, don't stage a house for how you want it or how you think it would look good, unless you're doing a theme like that aviator theme. But ultimately you want to stage the house for pictures. So when I stage a house, all my houses are staged for pictures. I don't like, if it's a decorative couch, like it's got to have some sort of functionality, obviously. But if it's a decorative couch, I'm like if you look at my listings, all my couches are blue always, because blue pops in the pictures. And like I use area rugs and like fill up your walls. Like if you look at my pictures, my listings, I have artwork on the walls and I have plants. There's always a natural element. So I always have like bamboo trees or, some sort of plant that gives it greenage, but it gives it a natural element. But also like one thing I can't stand is like seeing bare walls in pictures, because it's boring to look at. And the thing is if it's boring to look at, people are going to click off of it. And it's like SEO, right? It's the same algorithm with SEO in Google, right? You want to keep people on the page for as long as possible because it's going to get them to reach out and start that conversation with you. So all of my pictures, like if you look at my pictures, like I'm looking at this aviator one with the hanger. Like there's so much going on in this picture. You sit here and stare at it to look at everything going on. If you have like a bed and a pillow and a lamp, like cool, got it, next, right? So like people aren't going to
some
stay.
interesting artwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you use like the at-home store here locally? Where are you going for artwork?
I spent like, I couldn't tell you how much I've spent at home. The at home is my go-to. I go there. I will go there and get 2 of the flat, like the stand, like I'll get a stand-up cart and a flat cart and load them with pictures and artwork. I just go through and pick out like as much artwork as I can. It's yeah.
And throw pillows.
Made a fortune.
Throw pillows and artwork.
Oh yeah. Throw pillows, decorations, like they have everything. I get sometimes I get my couches or like side chairs there because they have them cheap. Like they have these blue velvet couches that are like, I think they're like $500.
You send us a few links of your listings.
Yeah.
Even if you want to post it in the event after, just so we can.
Or actually, I could share my screen and show you. I can post the link too, but I can share my screen.
But I think there might be other questions on there that are probably more important than us wanting to see
That's
them.
fine. Oh yeah, do you want to go through? Let's see. Did we hit all the questions? I think we hit. I don't see any extra questions. But so you real quick, you want to go through my messages for automation?
Yeah, I would love to see that real quick. I think I just gave you the ability to share your screen too, if you want.
Okay, cool. So I'll give you my process of automated messages. I just need to pull it up. All right. So if you send me an inquiry, you're going to get an automated message kickback. So here's the thing. Messaging super important especially with Airbnb. You need to respond within 3 minutes. So if you don't respond within 3 minutes, you're going to fall into another category of response time. So all your messaging's got to be within 3 minutes. That's why I automate it, because if you send me an inquiry, I kick you back a message within 1 minute that says, thank you for your interest in our property. We're currently reviewing your interest. Oh, maybe
You
we
want
need
to
to
share
edit
your
this.
screen real quick, Tom?
Yeah, sure. Okay, can you see that?
I can.
Cool. So it says, we're currently reviewing your, that's supposed to say request. Actually, let's change that.
Your interest, your request. We got it.
And we'll respond as soon as possible. I want to confirm your booking for a number of guests. And we always like to know our guests better. Would you mind giving us a little more information about the purpose of the stay? Thanks, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. So a lot of times what this does is because a lot of people will like inquire and they'll only put one guest, or they won't tell you why they're inquiring. They'll just send you an inquiry. So this gets them to respond, and it also weeds out people who are shady and don't respond. Some people don't respond because they don't get the notification or whatever, but most of the time people respond to this, and then they'll tell you like why they're coming, and it like gets them to give you more information without us having to be like, hey, talk to us. So from there, we have an inquiry, and then there's so then when they book, there's a booking confirmed message. So it says, so as soon as they book, within 1 minute, they're getting this message that says your reservation's confirmed. We again confirm the number of guests, number of nights, check-in day, check-out day, all this stuff. And then we also tell them like, you're going to receive automated messages from us because some people complain about it. So what I've done is like, over time, we've gotten complaints about different things. So we try to address all of them through our automated messaging. And like, it's not just complaints, it's also what things that people don't do, like take out the trash.
Right.
You know, whatever. So through this process, we're guiding them the whole way. And also like, we're telling them like, hey, you're going to get automated messages from us. So just be prepared because you don't know what you're in store for. So then that's booking confirmed. Then where is it? There should be one. Oh, arrival information. So the night before they check in, we send them a message saying, thanks again for booking. Here's the reason we send this, that we send this the night before at like 6:00 p.m. Thanks again for booking the home. Please let us know your check-in time. The earliest is 4 p.m. Checkout's 10 a.m. The reason we send this is because a lot of times on check-in day, people will be like, oh, hey, we're landing at 11 a.m. Can we check in at noon? And we're like, no, so that's why we asked the night before, like, are you planning for an early check-in? Is there anything so that we're ready tomorrow? Because then if we know that you're hoping to check in early, like we're trying to make it as enhance the user experience as much as possible. So if we know that you're trying to check in early, then we can try to adjust. Like if we have a same day checkout, then we can try to adjust, and be like, hey, the cleaners need to go here first, get done by whatever, noon. And then we say, usually we'll always respond and say, if it's same day checkout, we're like, we can't guarantee an early check-in, but we'll try our best. And if it's ready, we'll let
check-ins
you know.
at 4. What time's your checkout in the morning? 10.
Yeah. We keep it 10 to 4 because I'd rather give my cleaners a 6-hour window than a 4-hour window, especially if we have like 7 checkouts that day. It makes it kind of stressful. Then day of, they get a welcome message, has all has the Wi-Fi code. We put this first because that's also the number one question we get. We also use Hostfully. We as a digital guidebook program you can use. Gives them their code to the door. We use digital door locks, so the code will be their last 4 digits of their phone number. Gives them this phone number to contact, which is my VA's contact number. If you call that number, she should answer right now.
Everybody call.
What's that?
I said, everybody call.
Yeah, actually you should, because she should be on, and this is my VA that tends to not be on call all the time. But anyways, any notes that we need to tell them, like all of these are here because we've had this issue several times. So like
Pool equipment is so annoying. Why does everyone want to take everything out of the pool?
the vacuum they want to take out, they want to turn the pump
The
off.
auto
you know,
filler, they want to
Yep.
take out of the pool.
Yep. Auto fillers, all that. Trash and recycling bins. Like, oh yeah, this is the other thing. People move the freaking trash bins because we have a company come out and take them to the curb. Do you use Can Monkey?
I don't.
Do you have a trash
Like
service,
some-
or do you have somebody do it for you?
Do my husband.
Oh.
No, actually, at all of ours, we have, actually, most of ours have the alley trash. So
Yeah.
they're not coming to the curb.
Yeah. Reiterate like house policies here, quiet hours. Oh yeah, we're trying to be super strict about quiet hours. Also, there's a noise detector. I'm drawing a
Noise
blank.
aware?
What
Are
is
you
it?
still using noise alert
No.
or
that's
noise
not what-
aware? Is it noise aware?
Aware.
Noise aware?
Noise aware?
Aware.
Yeah, something like that. Noise aware. That sounds, it's like a little thing you put in the house, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. So yeah, so they get this welcome message. So then the next thing I do is the next morning at 10 a.m., they get a message from me saying, how was your first night? The purpose for this is it gives them an opportunity to complain. So if there's anything wrong with the house, it used to be 24 hours. Now they've expanded it to 72 hours that they can complain about something, which sucks. But it used to be 24 hours. So because what would happen is, they'd be there for 5 nights. And then on the last night, they'd go, oh, well, there was this, and this problem.
Right.
And, they're supposed to
the time.
disclose any issues within 24 hours. So this gives them an opportunity to complain. If you don't complain here, then I have the right to claim any complaint on the tail end of the booking. So that's how was your first night. Then from there, we get to, there's a checkout message the night before at 6 p.m. So the night before, just a friendly reminder, get out of the house at 10 o'clock or sooner. And also directions that they usually don't follow. Trash, make sure the stove's off. Like there's the reason that's there. All that. So checkout info. So then again, checkout message the day of, reiterates like, okay, just a reminder at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 10 a.m. checkout. And the reason for this is because it gives them no reason to be like, oh, I had no clue checkout was at 10 when the cleaners show up and they're like still sleeping. So it's just a, GTFO message.
Are all of these messages automated via email, or do any of them go via text?
They're all through the app. So if it's through the app, then it depends on if they have text messages turned on for the app. But and then the last thing I do, and this is super important, this is probably the most important message, is at 5 o'clock on the same checkout day, I send them a message saying, thanks for staying with us. This is actually their psychology behind this. So I'll go through the whole thing. Thank you for staying with us. Hope you had a great stay. 5-star review helps both our listing and hosting status and would be greatly appreciated. Anything less actually penalizes our account. Sad face. We'll leave one for you in return. Also, if there are any notes you would like us to address for future stays, please leave those in the private comments on the review. So this has a lot of purpose behind it. 1, it gets people to leave reviews. 2, they're leaving that day, right? So they're either on their way home right there, or they just got home. And so it's top of mind. So most times, like 80% of the time, I get the review same day. And probably about 80% of those reviews are 5-star reviews. The other thing it does is if they don't feel, so like I'd say probably out of the ones that say, we don't feel like we could give you a 5-star review, I'd say probably like 40% of the bad reviews we're going to get, people will actually message me and be like, we don't feel like we can leave you a 5-star review, so we don't want to penalize your account. we're not going to leave you any review, and no review is better than a bad review. So that's the purpose of this message, but it also jacks up my ratings, and I get tons of 5-star reviews. So when that bad review does come in, it's offset by all these 5-star reviews. So
Yeah.
that's my automated process.
I love that. Thank you.
And then you asked for a listing. And I'm just gonna pull this over real quick. I'll show you my 2 best ones because I'm biased.
Why do you think they're your best ones? Do they perform?
Because I set them up
or
in
do you
the
just like-
photographer, and I had my photographer do them rather than the ones that I acquired, which I didn't set up, and I didn't have my photographer go to. If you saw the pictures of the listings we just did, they're freaking beautiful. My listings come out good. So this is my like window shot, or I call it the hero shot. So this is the single photo that you're going to see when you're searching for the properties in this market. So
not of the pool or the front. You're like in
Nope.
your living rooms are doing the best for you.
Yeah. I mean, this was actually the first house I ever did. And, but yeah, I mean, these houses crush, and this house actually doesn't have a pool. This is the one in Gilbert.
Gotcha.
This is the one I've talked about. This is the one that had the fight, and this was also the one that had the ceiling collapse. But so you can see like every room has something going on, and then like lots of long shots from corner to corner. Like you get the full feel of this. So you want like your listing to tell a story, like tell the story of the house basically.
I noticed on one of your posts recently that you said, do you actually have your cleaners set the table every time they come?
No, I have a social media guy doing this. So he posted that, and I saw that. I was like, I don't want to give the wrong message,
that's
but I
pretty
also don't want
cool.
to. I had a property manager working for me, and she did that, but that's a lot of work to do that every time, and it makes extra work on the back end, because then they take the napkins and just throw the decorative napkins or whatever, like shit gets lost, broken. So real quick, I'll just show you, and I can post these links in the box if you guys want to grab them and look further on your own. But I'm just going to run through this quick because I got to jump off of here.
That's okay. We're getting towards the end anyway. We should
But
wrap up.
real quick, I'll tell you a few tricks on this stuff. Again, I can't stress enough, photography is super, super, super important. You like pay the money to get a professional photographer. Actually, you can see on this picture, there's no picture on the wall. I think I ran out of artwork, and I was just like, I don't feel like going back to at home. So I just left this room a little bare. So normally I'd put like some sort of artwork over the head here or something like that.
I'm noticing your beds don't have headboards.
Nope.
Okay.
I just get basic frames and mattresses off Amazon, and everyone loves it.
Okay.
I honestly, I've never had a complaint about it. So I'm not, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know?
No,
So real quick. So the hero shot is super important. I always use a long shot of the house, or like this one's the living room. If you look, I actually have multiple accounts. So this is listed on another account, and it has this shot. This picture is the other one. So you can see like it tells the story of the living room and the dining room and all that. But like the whole point of this is like there's so much going on that it draws your eye through the picture. and it makes you sit here and look at it. And then you click the listing and here's what you see. So when you click the listing, this picture draws you in, and then this is what you see as far as the actual listing, right? So these first 5 pictures are super important. What I see so often on Airbnb is there's a picture of the house and then or a couch, and then there's another picture of the 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 couch. And that doesn't sell the house, right? So what you want to do is set this up so that it tells the story of the house. Like, here's the living room, here's the kitchen, you got a game room, you got a bedroom and a bathroom. Same thing over here. You got a living room, you have a second living room, you have a bedroom. This one actually has 2 bedrooms. I probably should throw the kitchen in here, and there's a reason I don't have it. But I should have a kitchen picture in here, actually, come to think of it. But you know, the pool is one picture, but it's a secondary picture. And so you have like a bedroom, a bathroom, the kitchen, you know, and how you organize these, like you want people to look at it and then draw your eye through these pictures. So this will get people to sit here and look at your listing. And then the whole purpose of this is to get them to either go here, show all photos, or get them to go here and contact you or check availability, right? Like you want them to try to book.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh no, okay, that's right. Okay. I was confused there on my own listing for a minute.
No, it's okay. So this one does have 3 bedrooms, 3 beds. Are you a big proponent? Like I know my old property manager was like, as many beds as you can pack into these houses. Like I'm all about getting butts in beds. Have you noticed with, I mean, you have 3 2s and 4 3s. So like in your 3 2s,
but also notice that
it still says 12 guests. Exactly. So are you,
that.
So
you want to see a $250 pot of gold? I may have pulled this up once or twice. This thing right here, these fold up, they go in the closet. Put one in every bedroom. It's a queen size. It can sleep 2 people, throw extra sheets, extra pillows. And then you can double, as long as you have the physical space for it. If you you know, I just set up a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house that you can't fit, you can hardly fit 2 of these in the living room. So it wouldn't really be fair to put any more than, it's kind of tight even putting 10 people in there, but because there's no room in the bedrooms for them either. But
do
then
people seem to like these better than like an air mattress?
yes, for sure, because air mattresses pop, they deflate, they have issues, they don't inflate properly, they got to sit there and blow them up. This thing, you literally just unfold it out of the, like take it out of the closet, unfold it. It's a queen foam mattress. It's comfortable. Everyone
like
says
6 inches thick. This is what I put in my pop-up travel trailer. This is what I sleep on anytime I go camping. So
yeah,
that's why like when I have multiple people in my pop-up, I'm like, no, I'll sleep on the floor. And everybody's like, no, it's your I was like, you guys can sleep on the standard mattress that comes in my travel trailer. I'm sleeping on the floor on this thing, and let me tell you, way more comfortable.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. And I throw like a mattress cover over it and then hope that the cleaners change it. But you know, the idea is they're supposed to change the mattress cover and leave it in the closet with the mattress cover on it. That doesn't always happen. But
is there like a specialty mattress cover that like folds with it? Or I guess any mattress cover?
If you use a regular mattress cover, they're built for like a thick
12-inch mattress. So it's
mattress. Yeah. So, you know, they fold up no problem.
I like it.
But the purpose of it is to try to make it not disgusting, but it doesn't always happen.
Yeah. No, I like that.
So
cool. All right.
So, yeah.
Well, any last minute questions for Tom here before we get going, because we are running a little bit late, but Tom gave us a lot of great information. I actually took like 2 pages of notes. So just little things that I was like, ooh, I need to write that down.
Yeah, it's all the little things that add up that make a huge difference.
Yeah. So does anybody have any last minute questions for Tom, or are we all good? Everybody's
Well,
good?
if you're on Instagram, I'm gonna request if you can do me a favor and go follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, Tom does post a lot of good content, or at least his content creator does. And I know
I create the content, but then he like fixes it and makes it look pretty.
he has it right there in his name, his Tom John Swan.
Yeah.
What?
Don't you see his name?
Oh, not when you're talking.
You gotta look at the multi.
When he started talking, I saw it, but when it was you, it showed your thing.
Put your IG handle in the comments real quick.
Oh yeah, I'll do
people
that.
can comment.
I'm still getting used to all this Zoom stuff.
I know you recorded a course recently. Has that
Yep.
course actually been made available to the general public? Do you really have an underscore at the end of your name?
Yeah, I have to, because my name is in freaking purgatory. My name created off of Facebook before they merged, and I cannot access it. Even though it's my name and it's my account, I can't get it. So I had to like make a second account and put an underscore on it.
That's so funny.
I mean, if you search Tom John Swan, you'll find me. I'm the only one, but.
Right. Well, so when is your course going to be available?
The course is preliminary available right now, but it hopefully soon. The other thing is I am launching a VA management company and a setup and design company. So if you need management, we handle everything, not including cleaners and handyman, but we can handle everything else and we can coordinate them, like all the communication, all this automation, all the pricing, all of that stuff. Pricing is up to the host. Like some people like to have control over that. Like me personally, I like to have control over that. I don't want my VAs touching that. But that is something that I have going on as well. We actually just officially launched that. Well, I shouldn't say officially, but you can reach out to me because we're still finalizing the site. I thought it was officially today, and then I looked at it right before this call and I was like, oh, we need to make a few tweaks to the site. But yeah, if you need, so the just to give you an idea, the pricing on it is gonna be $300 per month flat rate. It's actually $297, but most management companies are charging anywhere from 10 to 35% of gross for management. And I think that's a crock of shit, if you ask me. And so I found my solution to do it for a much more reasonable flat rate price. But also working with you as part of the team so that it's not, that's why we're not handling cleaning and handyman in-house, but we can coordinate everything and work with everyone on an individual basis to make it worthwhile for them.
Nice.
So.
All right, Peggy, what's your question? Miss hand raising.
I wanted to be polite. So Tom, I just came from the short-term rental Airbnb event with lots of great speakers both days. And I do want to thank you because I really got a lot out of this one. I took lots of notes. Everybody has a little different angle to what they do. And so I can just thank you.
Sure.
It was good. That's a whole nother point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for having me on, Marie, and everyone in here. Thank you so much for inviting me in and letting me join this little family for the night.
Yeah, that's it. You'll have to be part of our weekly huddle more often now.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Peggy, just real quick, and oh shoot, I do have to go. Peggy, what did you find was different in that event versus how did you find that event? I'm just curious. I've talked to one other person who was there.
Yeah, so I went to the first event that Munif was having, his very first, with
in San Francisco.
Yeah, with Leo and Noah. And so, of course, I was in their 90-day challenge. And then, of course, I got an invitation. They wanted to make sure everybody was going to go to Houston. So
Yeah.
I did.
Uh-huh.
And so it's not hard to get in with that group at all.
Yeah.
They're super people. Everybody's helping each other. And
Yeah, yeah. I was at an event in St. Louis the same weekend, so I couldn't go, but I want to try to make it out to TJ's event in August. It's just I'm traveling like crazy right now. So I
have been too.
I'm gonna be back in Connecticut right before that event. So I'm like I think I come back on Wednesday, and then that event's on like Thursday or Friday. So
well, I know that you can get connected. Manif posts like 4 times a day, I think. every
yeah,
time. Yeah, I mean, he just got married, and I
right.
guess he went over there to Mamadou's wedding and left us, and so he's always on there, and I'm sure you can connect with them. They are really, really into this now. And,
Oh yeah.
In fact, Airbnb was going to sue them for using the closed Airbnb runway.
Yep.
So
I
they
warned
called
him
it-
about that when he
they
moved
said
out to Phoenix.
STR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I warned him about that. I said, watch out, because they're coming after everyone using the Airbnb name.
Well, anyway,
So.
now they changed it to STR for the event.
Yeah.
So short-term rental. And
Yeah.
but it never ceases to amaze me. I'm take what I need and leave the rest. But my thing for me is showing up.
Yeah.
I just feel like if I show up, I'm gonna learn a million things anyway, plus the networking with these great people.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and I was at Clever, and I
Uh-huh.
got sick too. I think I caught it from Marie.
I didn't even get sick from Clever, so it wasn't me. You know what my secret was, Peggy? I didn't have one drink
At the
that whole
bar.
weekend. I didn't have one drink the whole weekend, so my immune system was good. So I didn't get sick.
So I just thought, since you were dancing on those tables, I just figured it wasn't water.
Hey, don't tell everybody I was dancing on the tables at the club. That was after hours, Peggy. We don't what
Oh, I was dancing on the
Vegas
table at
stays
the
in
club.
Vegas. I was,
But you
you
were
know
so
what though?
fun. You
I
were
was
a true Avenger.
I was dancing on the tables, y'all, and I didn't have anything to drink. So what does that show you? I can have a good time even without the alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's my story.
I know. All right. It is after 7, so I know we went late today. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for everyone for jumping on this call.
Yeah, it was great.
I learned a lot. It was great. It was great to see all your beautiful faces.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you so much, Tom.
No problem.
Oh, you're
Next
welcome.
week,
Thanks for
Amy
having me.
Majuri is on, so don't miss out. Amy Majuri is on. She's going to be talking about raising private funds. So
Where's this?
Yes.
This is next Monday on same time, same Zoom link. We will
On
be
here?
Well,
yes.
Okay.
I absolutely love her. I've seen her 5 or 6 times now.
I
She
know.
speaks at all of them, and I love her at every one of them though.
I know.
And I start to say that when I meet people.
I
This
know.
is
I
what
had
I
her
do.
on a while ago, and then I literally like halfway through the call, like I was not even present on the call anymore. So I was like, Amy, you have to come back. I need to hear it again.
I know.
I'm gonna
No,
I'm gonna send you a request in Facebook, Peggy, okay? So you know.
Oh yeah, you got it. You got it.
All right.
So
Okay,
thank you guys.
thank
I'll see you
you.
all next week. Have a great week, and always reach out if you need anything.
Yeah. Feel free to shoot me a message.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get
Have a
you
good
on
night.
your Instagram too.
Thank you. Bye, guys.